Welcome to Sports World with Patrik. Today, we're thrilled to feature an incredible lineup from the SDE Hockey in the SDHL, one of the top women's hockey leagues in the world. Our guests represent the heart and soul of a team dedicated to excellence, both on and off the ice. First, we're joined by Lotti Odnoga, a dynamic defender from Hungary, whose skill, determination, and leadership have made her a standout in the league. Lotti has also proudly represented Hungary on the international stage, bringing her talent and passion to every game. Next, we have Alexandra, another exceptional hockey player from Hungary, known for her speed, precision, and work ethic. Alexandra has become an integral part of SD's hockey success and a role model for aspiring young players. Representing the vital behind the scenes support that keeps athletes performing at their best is Hanna Pinter, SDE's hockey skilled physiotherapist. Hanna plays a crucial role in ensuring the team stays healthy, strong, and ready to compete at the highest level. Finally, we're honored to have Peter Elander, the head coach of SDE Hockey, with a wealth of experience at the highest level of hockey. Peter has been instrumental in developing the team's talent and fostering a winning culture. His insights into coaching and the growth of women's hockey are truly inspiring. In this episode, we'll discuss their unique roles within the team and the challenges and triumphs of competing in the SDHL and the exciting future of women's hockey in Hungary and Sweden. First, let's go ahead and start off with you, Peter. Obviously, you have coached both in Sweden and in North America. You coached at both North Dakota and Ohio State. So, can you give me sort of a feel to what made you want to decide to go coaching both in the United States and in Sweden?
I started as a player, and then I went to the men's side as coach, and then 2001 I got the offer to go with the Swedish team and prepare them for the Olympics in Salt Lake City. It's a long time ago, and I really enjoyed working with the women team, the Swedish national team. And then 2010 I got the chance to go to University of North Dakota, and I coached some unbelievable players like Monique and Jocelyn Lambrou, Michelle Carvin, and Susanna Tapani, and a lot of other really, really good players. And then 2017, I moved to Ohio State and had a short stint there, and then was back and coached the Danish national team for 3 years. And then last 2 years, I was back in Ohio State, where won a national championship. So I really enjoyed coaching the women. They were really eager to learn, and the development has been incredible the last years here. It's just taking off. The skill development, the numbers are getting better, but the product on the ice is much, much better than it was like 20 years ago.
And Peter, like you mentioned, obviously you've had a very successful coaching career. I've gotten to see you coach at Ohio State. Probably the one coach at Ohio State that I was probably the most fearful to talk to or even ask for an autograph while you were there. But you mentioned you coached both men's and women's hockey, and so what are the biggest differences that you've observed between coaching men's and women's hockey?
I think confidence is the biggest visual aspect. Like if you go into a male dressing room and say after the first period, like three or four of you has to pick it up. You don't play good. You play as shit. All the men think you're talking about another person than them. If you would say the same thing in a female dressing room, all the girls think that you're talking about them. So I think to know what you can do and have the belief that you're good. So when you coach women, you have to be much more cautious of how you approach behaviors you want to change. If you coach men, you can be much more direct, and they flush it off more. So that's the difference. And then the women is, I think on the women's side, there's not so many influencers or people who want to have influential over there what they should do. There's not agents. There's not people around. Like they trust the coach. If let's say this, if they know that you care, they care how much you know. So you have to care for the players, and I think that's coming on the men's side too now. You can see in NHL, the coaches have results as one who care about the players. And on the women's side, that has been the sign for like as long as I've been there. If you care for the players, they would learn from you.
And then, Peter, obviously you've been coaching women's hockey for a while now, and I know you were here last year in Ohio State, where you coach has had a lot of players who have either went to the SDHL or even to now the PWHL here in the United States. What sort of excites you the most about the development of women's hockey globally? And then, of course, how do you see that impacting the future of college hockey?
I think that college hockey, it's hard to talk about college hockey in one word because it's different from team and leagues to league. So the top end college teams like who is now Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Minnesota, they're like almost like Real Madrid or Manchester City. Like they're select teams and they are good enough to take a bronze medal in every world championship. And I think now in the PWHL, the top end college teams is going to go. But the college landscape is going to change so much with this NIL money here, and you can pay athletes. It's going to change. So I think you have to wait 5 years to see where it's taking off, because women ice hockey is not like basketball. It brings in a lot of money. So when the money is who's brought in before it got divided on all the small sports, if they're not going to be divided, what was good with college hockey was that you have the resources in form of travel, hotel, coaches on the ice, rehab resources. The resources in Ohio State was gigantic in form of like recovery, travel, equipment, coaching resources. And if that disappear, college can go to be lesser skill development as it is now. So we have to wait and see. That's why it's good. The SDHL, they take strides every year to have better resources, better conditions for the players, both in financial support, but also in medical and physical support. And it's really a league where you see that you can't work full time and get the best out of you as a hockey player. You have to have a more holistic view on it.
And like you mentioned, Peter, the NIL era has arrived. And I also do have this question for you because I don't know if you saw about the new case against the NCAA, where now they will have roster limits at the NCAA level, and hockey will only be able to have 26 players per team. Do you think that will also impact sort of how the recruitment of college hockey will happen on the women's side?
No, I think there haven't been many teams who have a roster bigger than 26. But what the other message was, instead of having 18 full scholarships, you can give scholarships to 26, 26 players. So it's more like what resources would they allocate to the women hockey team? Would smaller schools afford to have full ride for 26 women hockey player, or they want to keep it at 18, what they used to have? So we have to see what's coming out here now. But some schools they maybe pay a salary to a women hockey player because it's a like Wisconsin selling out every game. So and the players is gonna pick and choose where they're gonna go. So it's gonna be like in volleyball. If Ohio want to keep up with Wisconsin, maybe they have to start paying a salary when Wisconsin do it. So it's so many unknown with this new landscape. So
And then, Peter, obviously, you've coached some very good players, and but both at Ohio State and at North Dakota, and then of course now coaching at SDE back in Sweden. How do you sort of approach building team chemistry and culture with such a diverse group of players? And even at the college level, when you had new players coming in every year, the freshmen, the transfer portal students, and all that.
I think the one rule I have with my players, and I say it's nice to be important, but more important to be nice. So if you have your star players or your most developed players to be unselfish, friendly, and take care of the new ones who don't know so much, instead of punish them, like give them chores they should do because they're new. So I have if you're a member of the team, it doesn't matter if you're the 13th forward or you're the first forward. Everyone has a value in the team, and that's how you build a chemistry. So you can just see our team now, they're having a bingo night and everyone is sitting there and cheering. And have teams where you have team activities and 5 players is missing. That's a warning sign. So if the team want to be together and do things together, you build team chemistry if you spend time together. And that's the hard thing now with the landscape now, because everyone can have their own little film or watching their movie on their cell phone. You don't need to talk with people. You ask Google how do you make pancakes, you don't call your grandmother and ask how you do pancakes. So the communication piece has to be crucial for coaching in the future. So people talk with each other instead of about each other.
That's some really good insight right there, Peter. I've definitely I've only gotten to work with one team, and unfortunately, that was pre NIL timeframes. That input now of the NIL, how you see it, is definitely inspirational. Can you also share your thoughts, because I know hockey in Sweden is sort of on the rise at the moment. You know, it's competing with Canada and the United States every year at the Worlds. So what are your thoughts on the progress of women's hockey, and then where do you see all these programs that are in Sweden heading in the future?
I was a guest speaker in Munich for all the European Hockey Club alliances, how to close the gap between North America and Europe. And I interviewed a lot of North American coaches and national team players. They all said the same, and it was my thing. So the European players, they have skill. They're really skilled. They're really skilled, but they don't have systems, they say. So my approach is like, we here in Europe and Sweden, we have to start develop from an earlier age the textbook of how to play the game. So it doesn't matter if you have all the tools in the world, if you don't know when you should use a saw or when you should use an axe. So you have to understand this is and ice hockey nowadays is much more complicated than it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you could have a really, she's so fast so she can get things done. Now you have to remember the breakout systems, the forecheck systems, the penalty kill systems, the face-off plays. It's a much more complicated game. And if you don't start in an early age of getting some habits, this is what you do to win games in hockey, you're going to be lost in space. So I think that the European coaches have to study the game much more intensely, how it's played, what is successful. Not, I think they're doing it, but not to the amount that they do it in North America. Especially on the college level, on the good teams, it's a scientific approach to every game. This is what we have to do. This is what you should do. And if you can't keep up and remember those things, you can never play for Ohio State or Wisconsin.
And then obviously, as you've mentioned, the ways you've coached and the teams you've coached, sort of getting back to this, you know, what is your biggest coaching philosophy and how has it evolved over the years?
I think I would get a more holistic view. I've always been interested in knowing the man and knowing the people and do things outside hockey. I think you grow. I visit museums when you travel and doing. If you're just in a hotel and rink, you'll be a pretty single-minded person. So I want them to grow as people. I think they grow as players. So that's been my approach. And I can say everyone didn't like all the activities, but now 15 years later, they were glad that we went to a winery in Kelowna before the Olympics because they wouldn't have gone by themselves. And today we took them to the town we're staying here. They have a Christmas tree with a big Christmas decoration, and we took them there because if you've been in this town around Christmas, you should have seen it. So I think getting things outside hockey and learn to know the people outside hockey helps you and communicate with the players. So that has been my approach.
And then since you are coaching much younger players and you've coached some in college, how do you sort of mentor these young players to not only succeed on the ice, but also develop life skills off the ice? And then sort of how do you coach also their to be mentally the mental toughness that will come along with playing hockey in general?
That the mental toughness that if you get things easy, you would sooner or later become lazy. You're not ready to work for it. If you get things the hard way, you appreciate when you reach the goal line. So we practice really hard with resistance all the time. So when we play the games, there's less resistance and it's not as hard. So that's the philosophy how we build this mental toughness. Nothing's gonna come easy, and can't cherry pick. You have to dig down. The truth is, like, if you want to get the job done, only rule, go to work.
And then I also do have this question. So how much do you believe the communication between the coaching staff and the leadership of players plays a role in having a successful team, whether it's at the professional, the Olympic, or even at the college level?
I think it's a major thing because as a male coach, you don't rotate around in the dressing room things that you have to have the leadership buying in, and the leadership has to be honest. And I've had some teams where we have good leaders, but you have one selfish leader, and the selfish leader can win that fight, but it's not for the good of the team. So you have to have an unselfish leader group who is not a leader because it's good for them. They're a leader because it's good for the big group.
And then, are there really any what really has been the most rewarding moment in your coaching career so far that you've had? Whether it's at the Olympic level or even at the college level.
My most rewarding coaching experience is when I coached in North Dakota. Lisa Marvey was hit by a truck and could have died that day. Everything in her knee went. She lost like arm muscle size of a Coca-Cola bottle, and she was in a wheelchair for 5 months. And her dream was to come back and play hockey again. And I put a lot of hours on doing individual skill session with her for 12 months. And she was 18 months later, she was taking the opening face-off of the first game of the year. So that was a teary moment for a coach. So she started to play. She could play hockey again. I think that the driving force for her rehabilitation was that she had a clear goal, and I tried to help her to reach that goal. So that's the best coaching thing I ever done. Medals, they're melting down. You don't even know where they are nowadays. And then wins, you're gonna win someday. You're gonna learn someday. Lose. So the game, but it's the memories for a lifetime who is like successful.
And then I do also have this question. So obviously at Ohio State, you won the 2 national championships. You've had some Olympic athletes that you've coached at Ohio State. Is there any like very memorable moment that you have at Ohio State from coaching any of those athletes?
Yeah, I have one memory when I give out the sauce pass certificate for a player who has done 10 perfect sauce passes in game situations. And Hanna Belka earned her sauce pass certificate in the last game of the year here. So that was a fun moment. So she have it on the wall, I hope.
And then just one more question here. You get to coach players from all over Europe, and you were sort of talking about how you were a guest speaker or really the main speaker at an event to figure out what European player or what European systems need to do and to catch up to the North American system. Do you see, since you see all the different systems, do you see something that possibly all the European countries can sort of work with and sort of build from the ground up? I know more recently I had a director of hockey from a European country, and they were talking about how they're developing their players through academies and bringing in different people who, whether it's from America, Finland, or even Canada in general. But do you see anything that's, because you see all the different systems, is there something that they can work on to be one system?
That's not an easy question. So I think that coaching education and bring really, so the flaw in the European system is like from the young age you take in the less educated coaches to learn the hardest skill there is, and then you think the product's going to be good enough. What I would do if I was a director, I would pay super older guys who don't want to follow a team all the year. I would take them in and do 3 sessions a week with 8 to 12-year-olds, girls and boys, on a super high level. And then I would pay that older gentleman or women a little money to do it. That would be their activity as already retired. And then when the players come up to an age of 12, 13, 14, they're much more educated on a tactical skill, and now they can work much more on the playbook of what to do and when to do it. Because there is so many skills coaches now. I haven't seen a skills coach playing in a system yet. And hockey is still a sport where one individual can never beat a group of 5.
But thank you, Peter, for that insight on the coaching side of everything. So now we're gonna sort of go over to Lotti and Alexandria. Like I mentioned, I'll have the question first in English, and then I'll after it's answered, I'll just go ahead and go to the Hungarian version of it. So Lotti and Alexandra, can you sort of share how you got started in hockey and what inspired you to pursue the sport?
Yeah, I can share mine. I kind of followed my brother's footsteps. He started playing hockey, and then when he had practice, my parents just dropped me off at the rink with him to watch his practice. And then one day his coach just put skates on my feet, and I've been going to practices ever since.
Yeah, I can share my story. So I was out skating with my class when I was around 6 or 7 year old, I think, and I saw a poster that said that everyone can came on a tryout practice. Yeah, here we are today, playing in Sweden. So that was a fun journey. Yeah, that's really it.
És akkor itt van a magyar. Hogyan kezdted el a jégkorongot, és mi inspirálta arra, hogy ezt a sportot
Én a bátyám miatt kezdtem el jégkorongozni. Ő már évek óta jégkorongozott, amikor a szüleim engem is ott hagytak a jégpályán, hogy nézzem az ő edzését. És az egyik nap a bátyám edzője felrakott egy pár korít a lábamra, és én azóta edzésekre jár.
Szóval most én is hát tudom mesélni az én sztorimat. Így suliból voltunk korizni, és láttam egy posztert, ahol próbajátékosokat fogadnak el, és hogy bármilyen korban el lehet kezdeni, úgyhogy kipróbáltam, és azóta nagyon bejött, nagyon tetszett, úgyhogy azóta játszok.
And then the next question for you guys is, what does it mean to you to represent Hungary on the international stage?
For me, it's it's always an honor to put on the national team jersey, and I've been fortunate enough to have been doing it for many years now. And I think every time I go into the locker room and my teammates for the national team are there, it's always like an extra motivation and push, and it's just a different environment than just playing for the club. And Hungary has developed a lot in the past years, so it's really fun and exciting to be part of that.
Yeah, so it is always my dream to play on an international level, and mainly for my own country. So it's been really an honor to be playing for international level, and of course the team and your own country, because it's like a receipt for the hard work you put in, and it's really shows the result that you are there for a reason and for the hard work you put in throughout a long time. So yeah.
Most itt a magyar. Mit jelent számodra, hogy
Felvenni a magyar mezt mindig egy nagyon nagy megtiszteltetés. Én szerencsés vagyok olyanokból, hogy most már elég sok éve a válogatott tagja vagyok, és mióta fejlődik a magyar jégkorong, azóta tényleg olyan szintekre jutottunk, amiket nem is gondoltunk volna régebben, és nagyon jó érzés, és új motivációkat ad, hogy hova tud még fejlődni a magyar jégkorong.
És én mindig is egy álmom volt, hogy a válogatottba játszak, és hogy a saját országomat tudjam népviselni. Ez nagyon nagy megtiszteltetés, és mindig, mikor felveszem azt a mást, ez megemlékeztet arról a sok munkáról, ami minden edzésre ott vagyok, és hogy ez bemutatja, hogy a sok munkámnak van.
And then what are some of the biggest challenges you face as a player, and how have you overcome them?
Well, growing up playing hockey as a girl in Hungary was very interesting and different from what everyone has been doing. First of all, the big sport in Hungary is like soccer and handball and water polo. So just by playing hockey, you were a bit different. And especially if you're a female player, it was just very, very unusual at that time. I think I was one of the two girls in my city that played ice hockey, and most of the girls were playing in Budapest. So just the challenges of not quitting and sticking with it. It's definitely hard, but I think it paid off pretty well.
Yeah, so for me it was mostly when I moved to Sweden. It was a whole new environment for me, a whole new hockey, and everything was just different, and it took time for me to adapt to all of the new experiences and new things, and everything was just different, and I needed to learn. and see what I can do from there. So it was like I needed to start from zero when I moved, but it really paid off. I really met some good players that motivated me through the way, and good coaches who showed me the way how to be a good hockey player on ice and off the ice.
And then melyik voltak a legnagyobb kihívások, amelyekkel játékosokként szemben ültél, és hogyan sikerült ezek legyőzni?
Felnőni úgy, hogy egy jégkorongozó vagy mindenképpen egy kicsit nehezebb volt, mint gondoltuk volna, mivel Magyarországon a nagy sportok az a foci, a kézilabda és a vízilabda, úgyhogy magában, hogy jégkorongoztál, az egy kicsit másabb volt a megszokottnál, főleg, hogy lányként jégkorongoztál. Hát például az én városomban ketten voltunk lányok, akik jégkorong. Általában a többi lány a fővárosban, Budapesten volt. Igazából azok nehézségek voltak, hogy nem feladni, és igazából nem nagyon hallgatni másokra, hanem igazából a saját fejed után és az álmaidat.
Igen, nekem a költözésnél volt egy kicsit nehéz, mert minden csak teljesen más volt, hogy új volt. Nem is az, hogy félelmetes, hanem ez nagyon izgalmas, mert így nem tudtam, hogy itt milyen az élet Svédországban. És a hoki is más volt, a suli is más volt, úgyhogy csak minden nagyon új volt, és azt meg kellett szokni, és nulláról kell. De végül is nem bántam meg egy másodpercesen.
Van nekem egy magyar kérdés, még egy magyar kérdés ezen. Szóval Lotti, te Győrben játszottál. Én pedig Kaposváron játszottam a Kasival, és egyszer kellett felmennünk Győrbe, és azt mondták, hogy hát nem megyünk fel, mert nem lehetséges a jégcsarnal játszani, mert valami lemerült a jégcsarnal.
Igen, ez elég sokszor történt meg Győrbe. A jéggép, vagy ami úgy befagyasztotta a jeget, néha leállt, és ugye sátorpálya volt, azt nehéz volt hidegen tartani egy gépnek. 3 éve azt hiszem, most lett egy nagyon szép vadonatúj csarnok Győrben. Nagyon jó felszereltségek vannak ott, és lehet a fejlődésre.
And then Lotti and Alexandra, obviously you guys have both been in high school, and Lotti, you've been in college here in the United States. So how did you sort of balance and if you guys are still going to school, how do you guys balance your academics, your personal and your athletic life?
Well, right now when I'm playing for SDE, so I'm not in school currently, but I started my high school in Hungary, and then it was challenging to do school and hockey because I was playing on the boys team in my town and the women's team in Budapest, so I had to travel a lot and then do school at the same time. So I decided I wanted to play college hockey, and so I knew I had to go to the US to be able to do school and hockey at the same time. And when I got to the US, it was way easier because everything was set up so that you would succeed in school and in hockey too. And I think that's one thing that Hungary and Europe has to improve on for the players to be able to pursue both academic and athletic careers.
Yeah. So I went high school here in Sweden, in Solna Gymnasium, and it was actually a good system that the school had because it was set up to I could balance hockey career and also my school. So the hockey practice is one in the school schedule, so I didn't need to worry about that. And I graduated now in summer, and now I play for SDE, and I love it. So yeah.
Itt van a magyar, hogyan tudod összehajolni a tudományok, magánélétés és a sportot?
Európában és Magyarországon ez nem nagyon egyszerű, hogy a sportot és az iskolát. Magyarországon kezdtem a középiskolámat, és mindig is tudtam, hogy Divízió 1-be szeretnék játszani. Úgyhogy úgy döntöttem a második évenben gimnáziumban, hogy megpróbálom az Amerikát. Ez azért is volt, mert Magyarországon nehéz volt úgy iskolába járni és jól csinálni. Én városomban a fiú csapattal játszottam, és a Pesten játszottam egy női csapattal, úgyhogy nagyon sokat kellett utazni. De amint kiértem Amerikában, a középiskolában is úgy volt összeállítva minden, hogy az iskolát és a jégkorongot is igazából profi szinten nem kellett lemondani az egyikről, hogy a másikban sikeres legyek, hanem így mind a kettő egymás mellett.
Én is Svédországban hoki gimnáziumba jártam, ahol az edzések bent volt a suliban, szóval az egy egész program volt, ami nagyon tetszett, és tudtam a tanulásomra is fókuszálni, és a hoki karrieremre, ami nagyon tetszett. Ez jó volt.
És van egy kérdésem. Tudom, hogy vannak magyar játékosok, akik itt vannak. Ez tényleg a Lottinak van. Akik itt játszanak, az Emma, Dorka, a Zsófi. Hogyan készülted őket, hogy amikor ide jönnek Amerikába egyetemre, tudjanak olyan a tudományokkal és a sporttal, ahogy te csináltad?
Én mindenképpen örülök, hogy most már sokkal többen vannak ott az egyetemi bajnokságokban. Amikor én nézegettem az egyetemeket, és ugye próbáltam helyet találni Divízió 1-ben, akkor nehezebb volt, mert akkor az amerikai edzők még annyira nem néztek magyar játékosokat. Úgyhogy ez nagyon pozitív, hogy ebbe az irányba megy a magyar jégkorong. Igazából mindig én nagyon szeretek velük beszélgetni, hogy nekik milyen a élményük van az egyetemről, és hogy nekem milyen élményeim van. És jó így megosztani velük például azokat a dolgokat, amiket én így elsőre menni egyetemre így elrontam, vagy úgy gondoltam, hogy jobban is tudtam volna csinálni, és így ezt jó átadni nekik, és látni, hogy hova fejlődnek, és hogy mit csinálnak az egyetemeken.
And then what has been your most memorable moment in your hockey career so far?
For me, it was 2019 when the national team made it to top division for the first time on home ice. It was very memorable because I got to have my family and friends there when we achieved something that has never been done before. And even when we were driving to the game, like we could see the line of people in front of the entrance of the rink. So it was already like a really cool and exciting feeling to like drive into the rink. And then, I think that was the first time ever it was a sold out game or women's hockey game in Hungary. And it was a very tight game against Austria. And we were able to come out as the winners. So it was definitely something that I will always remember when we were like singing the national anthem with my teammates hugging around, and then 2,500 people singing it with us. So definitely that moment.
Yeah, for me it was last season. I had a really good coach who supported me all the way, and we came to the SM final. Unfortunately, we lost in overtime, but it was the best season I ever had, and that coach unfortunately passed away 2 months ago in cancer. But the moral of the story is that he actually was there for us the whole season when nobody really believed in us, in our team. But he was there, supported us, and we made it to the final. And the ending, it didn't came out as we wanted it to, but the journey was amazing.
Melyik volt a legemlékezési karrierben?
Nekem mindenképpen volt egy-két olyan válogatott esemény, ami mindig meg fog maradni nekem. Egy, ami biztosan még mindig a legmagasabban ott van, az a 2019-es Divízió 1 a Pesti világbajnokságnak az utolsó mérkőzése volt, amikor Ausztria ellen játszottunk, és hazai pályán sikerült a magyar női jégkorong történetében. Ez már ott kezdődött, amikor busszal mentünk a jégpályára, és a csarnok előtt láttuk a sort, a bejárat. úgyhogy már ott volt egy olyan érzés bennünk, hogy ez egy nagyon jó mérkőzés. De a magyar női jégkorong történetében elsőre volt olyan, hogy ez volt, körülbelül 2000-2500 ember, és arra mindig emlékezni fogok, hogy a mérkőzés, amikor a csapattársaimmal ölelkezve énekeltük a himnuszt a 2500 szurkoló.
Nekem a múlt szezonom volt nagyon emlékezetes. Az egyik legjobb edzővel volt a szezonunk. Mindig ott volt nekünk és segített nekünk egész szezon alatt. Nem voltak ott sokan, aki hitt a csapatunkban, de még ott volt és szupportált minket. És eszem döntőbe sajnos overtime-ba kikaptunk, de nagyon emlékezetes lesz, ahogy segített nekünk, és hogyan tudtam fejlődni a szezon alatt.
Who has been the biggest influence in your hockey career and why?
I have definitely had coaches and teammates who helped me through my career. I think one of the coaches that I think helped me the most, even though she was there for only 1 year in my high school career, in my last year, she was just a person who was more or cared more for who you were as a person and developing you off the ice, and believed that that would translate to the on ice version of you. So I think my hockey play and hockey IQ and my calmness on the ice came from that year, because I knew she cared of who I was and how I was developing as a person and not just as a hockey player. So she was definitely one of the biggest influences in my life, but I had a lot of teammates who, were there for me when I needed it the most and pushed me through the hard times. So teammates and coaches are the ones for me that helped me the most.
Yeah, it was it was kind of the same for me. I had really good teammates that was there for me, and coaches that also wanted the best for me and really helped me get through the hard times also. So it was mainly the coach that I had last year that really helped me develop to the way that I'm playing today, and really guide me to the best version of myself on ice and off ice. So yeah, that is it.
Ki volt a legnagyobb hatással a jégkorong pálya?
Nekem nagyon sok edzőm volt az évek alatt, és mindegyiktől tanultam nagyon sokat. Volt egy edzői stáb az utolsó évemben az egyetemen, akik azzal foglalkoztak, hogy hogyan fejlődsz emberileg, és nem csak hoki játékosként. És szerintem az volt az év, amikor jégkorong tudásom is sokat fejlődött, azért, mert igazából megértettem, hogy mit kell a jégen kívül hozzátenni ahhoz, hogy sikeres legyél a jégen. Hogy az edző nekem nagyon sokat, és az évek alatt voltak csapattársak, akik nagyon sokat segítettek és befolyásoltak a jégen is, és hogy ki vagyok emberileg is, úgyhogy nekik is sokat köszönhetek.
Nekem is sok csapattárs és sok edző, aki segített, főleg csapattársak, mikor nem voltak nem voltak annyira könnyűek. Múlt szezonban az edzőm, aki igazán befolyásolta a hoki karrieremet, és nagyon segített az a játékosnak tenni, aki vagyok ma. Szóval igen, számomra.
What advice would you give to young girls in Hungary aspiring to play hockey at a high level?
I would just tell them to stick with it, because it's going to be worth it in the end. And I feel like in Hungary it's still really hard to be able to play hockey as a girl and get all the support that you need from, family, friends, coaches, teammates, everyone. So sometimes you kind of just feel like you're on your own and walking your own path, but it can take you to places that you could have never imagined, and being able to meet people who, other hockey players, and I think the hockey community is so close and tight and small, so you get to make your best friends for life through hockey. So I think that's something that's getting kind of washed away when you're growing up in Hungary playing ice hockey as a girl.
Yeah, as a girl playing hockey, it's never easy. You get really much criticism or the things don't go your way, but I think it makes us stronger because we meet our friends, closest friends through the way, and they really motivate you and stick with you through the way. And yeah, I mean, it's really the most important thing that you know your own worth, that you know who you are and what you are doing this for, and that you are keeping yourself focused and doesn't give up on like shitty comments from anyone else because you know what you're doing this for.
Mit tanácsolnál a fiatal magyar lányoknak, akik szeretnek magasabb szinten
Azt tanácsolnám, hogy csak csinálják tovább, és ne adják fel. A végeredmény az tényleg a elképzelteknél is mindig így nehéz végigmenni azon az úton, amin például az amerikaiak mennek végig fiatal jégkorongosként, mivel nincs meg az a támogatás a családtól, a barátoktól, az edzők, a csapattársak, hogy segítsenek azon az úton, ami szükséges. Úgyhogy néha csak úgy érzed, hogy egyedül sétálgatsz a saját utadon, senkinek a segítségével, de hogyha vele maradsz és csinálod tovább, akkor olyan helyekre el tud ez a sport jutni, amire nem is gondoltál volna, és mindenképpen egy életre szóló barátságokat tudsz ezen a sporton keresztül.
Hát hokizni az sosem könnyű, mert nincs meg ott az a támogatás, ami lehet, hogy téged jobb játékossá. Az a lényeg, hogy tudod, hogy miért csinálod, és nem lehet másoknak a kommentjain felakadni, és hogy tudod, hogy te miért csinálod, és motiválva maradni, mert az életre való barátságokat tudsz szerezni a hokin keresztül, ami tényleg egy életen át fog tartani és motiválni. A végeredmény az mindig jó.
És akkor ez is a kérdésem van, hogy élete.
Tessék, ez nekem, Alexandrának?
A Lotti és az Alexandrának.
Meg tudod ismételni, légy szíves a kérdést?
Mi a kedvenced?
Nekem cigánypecsenye szalonnával, és desszertnek tiramisu.
And then obviously Lotti and Alexandra, you guys play hockey in Hungary, and I know you guys probably go back during the summer to Hungary. So how would you guys describe the growth of women's hockey in Hungary, and what do you see in the future?
I think women's hockey in Hungary has grown exponentially in the past years, especially in the past 5, 6, 7 years, when there was a period of time when the senior team just kept moving up from Division 2B to 2A and then to 1B and to 1A. So it was like crazy how quickly that team was like jumping the divisions. And when they got to like the Division 1A area or stage, we realized like we still have to come super far to be able to compete with these teams. And the investment that the federation and the players and the coaches have done in the years are definitely something that is, I don't know, not many other countries can do or could do. And I think there's still much more where this team could go. I think the next steps are being able to stay in the top division. Well, we've really been preparing for the qualification in February, so hopefully that's gonna go the way we've hoping or planning. Even if that doesn't happen, I think it's kind of crazy and exciting to see where we have come and where it is going in the future. Like 5 years ago, I was the only college player in the US, and then another one came, and then now we have 4, 5, even 6 players in the US, and then players in Sweden. So it's good to see where the Hungarian players are going.
Yeah, so It's much more players today that are playing hockey in Hungary. That is really good to see that much more girls are starting to play hockey in Hungary, and that has drastically changed everything because there is more players and more. I mean, everything is more resource center. Everything just starting to go off and really show the result and really showing how good Hungary is.
Hogyan írnád le a női jégkorong fejlesztését Magyarországon, és mit szeretnél látni a jövőben?
Magyarország nagyon sokat fejlődött az elmúlt években, főleg az elmúlt 6-7 évben, amikor Divízió 2B-ből ugráltak, a csapat ugrált felfelé évre, ami szerintem egy nagyon inspiráló és érdekes dolog volt, hogy ennyi lépcsőt ilyen sikeres. Az elmúlt években szerintem nagyon sokat látszik a fejlődés az játékunk, a csapaton is, és a szövetség, és tényleg az olyan érzés van, hogy egyre több támogatást. Ez még tud hova fejlődni, de szerintem ez az elkövetkezendő években nagyon sokat fog javulni, főleg úgy, hogy most egy női elnöke lett a szövetség. A következő lépések a válogatott számára szerintem a csoportban való bentmaradás és az olimpiára való kvalifikál, vagyis hát remélhetőleg ebben az évben erre nagyon készülünk, mind csapatilag, fizikálisan, mentálisan, szövetség által is sok támogatást kapunk, úgyhogy reméljük februárban ez pozitív irányban.
Most már egyre több lány játszik, jégkorongozik Magyarországon, ami nagyon pozitív látni, mert régebben kevés volt, de most már egyre többen játszanak. A fejlődést drasztikusan. Hát igen, nagy fejlődés van a magyar hokiban, ami nagyon jó látni. Ez csak a kezdete a jó utaknak.
Köszönöm Alexandra és Lotti, hogy a podcastra jött. Szerintem ez nagyon jó info tudni, hogy látjátok a jégkorongot Magyarországon, és mi jelent az, hogy játszhatsz a Magyar Jégkorong Szövetségnek.
Köszönjük, hogy itt lehettünk.
Itt vagyok, igen.
Szóval te veled pedig angolul és magyarul fogom kérdéseket kérdezni. Szóval az első kérdés, can you tell us a little about yourself and how you became a physio?
Yeah. So, am I starting in English or?
Whichever one you feel like.
És amikor így az egyetemet is elvégeztem, majd különböző képzéseket, a személyedzői képzést, egy kicsit jobban belementem a sport science-be, és akkor kezdett el jobban érdekelni amúgy a maga a sportrehabilitáció, és az, hogy a atlétákkal dolgozhassak. Emellett amúgy van egy business diplomám, egy alapképzésem, még csináltam mellett egy mesterképzést is, Sustainable Natural Science-en, itt kint Svédországban, de hogy végül így kikötöttem ennél a sportrehabilitációnál, és most így 2 éve vagyok hoki csapatok. Ugye a második évem itt az első évben az AIK-nál voltam, a második évben most az SDE mellett, és gyakorlatilag ez arról szól, hogy a játékosokat segítem abban, hogyha a sportsérüléseik van, akkor minél gyorsabban tudjanak visszakerülni 100%-os állapotukba, gyógytornászokkal is, és különböző más szakemberekkel. Tehát, hogy így mindenki azon van, hogy a játékosokat segítsék, úgyhogy én így a meccseken ott vagyok, és hogyha történik valami sérülés, vagy a két meccs között ugye kezeléseket csinálok nekik, és ugye a héten is velük dolgozok, de attól független így inkább a sportrehabilitációt. In the meantime, I also did my bachelor degree and some other certifications related to sport science, and that's how I actually became a sports rehabilitation trainer or a physiotherapist. Although I have a business bachelor and I have a master in sustainable management or kind of like natural science. So it was like the other part of the story is that after playing 20 years, it's very hard to find the path where I should go. So that's why I have so many different things. But in the end, now I found it quite good to work with athletes and actually helping them through their athletic career. And last year I was working with AAK in Stockholm. It was also SDE women's team, and now I'm working with SDE. They are my previous team actually, and now I'm very happy to work with them. So I'm mostly like doing treatments for the girls and helping them through the week if they need anything from me. My role is to help them to, for example, from an injury, to help them to get back to 100% on the track, and between the games or during the games I'm also there and helping them through with my treatments, and kind of like I'm also educating them how to recover faster and how they can boost their performance.
What is the most rewarding part of your job?
My most rewarding job is to like, how can I put it together? Like, it's very, for me, it was always, I felt that if I can help or like give something to, like, for example, a player or person or a client and make their either performance, okay, let's talk about athletes. If I can see that I can help to them to get better or be better on the field, or let's say like heal from an injury, that's the most best part of this whole thing, that I can say that yes, we put together some plan, we did the plan, and I help you through with my best knowledge. And it's very difficult sometimes because, you know, like in this field everyone has their own kind of way how they are working, or like what they know, like the knowledge is quite wide. So like sometimes we also help each other like in this profession, and it's very nice when you feel that your knowledge actually helped an athlete to get through on something. So yeah, helping is one of the best thing, I think. Szóval hát a legjobb, hogy volt a magyar kérdés? Bocsánat, csak nem látom a kérdést. Ami a legjobb ebben a munkában, az az, hogy ha tudok segíteni akár a játékosoknak, ugye, vagy akár a klienseim, de hogyha így a játékosokra azt mondhatom, hogy ha például van egy sérült játékos, nekem ugye az a feladatom, hogy a legjobb tudásom szerint visszarakjam egy biztonságos olyan állapotba, valószínűleg nem fog megsérülni, és azért itt szezon közben elég kevés idő, úgyhogy ez mindig egy ilyen nagy feladat, és elmondani az, hogy az én tudásommal segítettem valakit elő arra, hogy visszatérjen és tudjon mondjuk korcsolyázni, az nekem egy nagyon nagy szó, és én nagyon büszke vagyok ilyenkor arra, hogy ezzel segíthettem. Annak ellenére ugye, hogy ezen a fielden sok más szakember is van, akik ugye különböző nézetmódok dolgoznak, és ez ebben is jó, hogy ugye meg tudjuk egymással osztani a látásaink, de mindig jó elmondani, hogyha én is az tudok lenni, aki segít nekik visszatérni.
És melyik a leggyakoribb?
So now let's say, for example, mostly I see ligament injuries like MCL and also ankle ligament, but like it's very interesting because for example, for forwards and the players usually like mostly like hip flexors or like have pain in the hip flexor, so and the goalies usually like have adductor problems, so it's quite wide. But now I think it's mostly like ligament injuries that I can see on hockey players or women's, which are more like what am I considering like an injury. Besides of that, for sure, there are like what I see is that mostly like the postural like imbalances, let's say the muscle imbalances coming out when we see a hockey player. That means that they have like parts of their bodies which are underactive and overactive, let's say. And then let's say one of the shoulder injury can be coming from a weak muscle which is not active, and you know, like this kind of small pain in their bodies that can give like how can I say, weaknesses, let's say. They have weaker muscles which are they not considered before. So I'm trying to educate them now that how they can actually figuring out their bodies and how to correct these kind of imbalances, let's say. So I would say like ligaments and also those kind of small, I mean, not injuries, but you know, like pain and parts of their body they have under pain, which is because of postural imbalances. Hogyha nem kapták meg a megfelelő alapozást, és vannak a testeikben amúgy, vagy a testükben imbalanszok, viszont ez elég érdekes, ugye a csatároknál, vagyis ugye a játékosoknál legtöbbször ugye a csípőnél vannak problémák, vagyis hogy ott a hipflexornál, viszont a kapusok inkább a közelítőknél, meg ugye a kívül a parizomnál. Szóval azért így látom a hasonlóságokat, hogy nagyjából milyen sérülés. De akkor én ezt a kettőt mondanám, hogy ugye a szalagsérülések, ami amúgy attól függ, hogy milyen pozíción játszanak, illetve azok a kisebb, apróbb sérülések, amik abból adódnak, hogy hát gyengébbek, vagy inkább aktívabbak, vagy inaktívabbak, hogyha így tudom mondani. Testtartás, vagy a hát ez hogy mondjam, hogy ez ilyen, vagy magyarul a testtartásukból által adódnak kisebb sérüléseik, izomgyengeségek vagy túlműködések, és abból jöhetnek sérülések is, illetve fájdalmaik különböző testpont, és én ebben segítek például nekik egy csomó játékosnak, hogy amúgy felismerjék ezeket a dolgokat, és különböző feladatoknál vagy úgy nyújtsák le az izmot. Ja, úgyhogy ez a kettő.
És akkor van olyan sikeres eset a pályafutáson során?
You mean this why I was working as a physio, right?
Igen.
Yeah. So now I would say that yes, there were like I think two particular that I can remember now. One of them was actually like a goalie who is actually the first goalie, and she was having troubles with like some injuries. I mean, it's very tough when you are in the middle of the season and having such injuries during the season. It was quite serious actually, and we didn't really have like too much time. But I would say that like we could actually work through in a shorter period, but it was still long, but like in a quite shorter period, to be patient and actually do the proper work to make her heal the best way. And she could actually get back on track very fast, as I can say. So that's one thing that I'm proud of it. And it's also like very nice because like, okay, I learned how to do my job, but it's always depends on the individual. So like you cannot really choose, like every body is different. And I also have to figuring out some stuff during this time. So like that was one, and the other one was actually defend, and she also was she struggled like a quite heavy back pain during her whole career. And when I met with her first time, then I did a postural checkup for her, and we started to actually working together more deeply. And actually, like I kind of like educated her how she should actually do proper like workouts, or like what she can do extra, and we did some treatments. And throughout the years actually, she told me that she developed very well, and she feels like now the back pain is disappeared, which actually she never could imagine. So that was also very like a proud moment for me. Szóval tudnék kettőt is mondani. Az egyik az egy kapus volt, aki és megsérült szezon közben, és egy elég úgymond komolyabb sérülés, de ugye kapus, ez elég komoly, hogyha valaki első számú kapus, és a szezon közben vagyunk. Ilyenkor ugye meg kell várni az adott időt, attól függ, hogy milyen sérülés, de ahhoz képest elég gyorsan ugye visszarehabilitáltuk, és nagyon ő is türelmesen és gondosan, és én is úgy mondtam az ő magához a testi, hogy mondjam, és ugye mivel minden játékos különböző testösszonyom különbözőek vagyunk, és ez is egy olyan fontos dolog volt, hogy ugye flexibilis alkalmazkodtam úgymond az ő életéhez, meg hogy csinálja a dolgait. Nagyon gyorsan úgymond visszaraktuk elég jó állapotba, úgyhogy ez egy nagyon fontos pontja volt a karrierem. És a másik pedig egy hátvéd voltak, és mondta, hogy egész karrierje alatt sérül, és amúgy nem is várja azt, hogy jobb legyen. És aztán csináltam vele egy ilyen testtartás elemzést, és ugye elkezdtünk együtt dolgozni a szezonba, és így elkezdtem segítgetni, hogy én ezt hogyan csinálnám, vagy mit tudnék ajánlani neki, hogy jobb legyen. Kezeléseket is csináltam rajta, és ugye így 1-2 éven belül így mondta is nekem, hogy sokkal jobban érzi magát, és teljes mértékben hátfájás, úgyhogy nagyon köszönöm. Úgyhogy ezek a pillanatok, amikor tényleg így ugye valakin segíthettem, és azt látom, hogy ugye hozzátettem a karrieréhez, azok az ilyen igazi pillanatok, amikor én is azt érzem, hogy jó, akkor ez sikeres.
És mit tehet az amitőr?
So first, like it's always important to consider if they had previous injuries for sure, and consider that they had probably previous injuries and if they healed the best way. But what they can do to prevent them is a proper, it's like, it sounds sometimes probably boring, but it's really true that proper warm-up and cool-down makes it quite efficient in the end. If they know that they usually have back pains, or their shoulders are quite weak, or like they have this kind of imbalances that I was talking about, it's very important to focus on those areas and actually put extra work, and also like take their recovery so their recovery is also very important. So it's kind of like a balance between their off-ice workout and kind of like injury prevention. So they should actually build it together with a professional like a coach, let's say. It would be very nice that if like people or athletes could actually get an individualized workout, because on the other side, I really believe that since everybody is different, they shouldn't do exactly the same that the other is doing, because some people can be strong in the upper body or lower body, but some people maybe not. So or maybe the opposite. So I think like contacting a professional coach and really going deep in this topic, that drinking a lot of water, if you have anything, like take vitamins, do the proper warm-up, proper cool downs, do the stretches the right way, take your rest days very serious. So it shouldn't be like it could be active, but not hard workouts on the rest days. So like resting also very important. So ez nagyon unalmas topik lehet szerintem mindenkinek, aki atléta. A tudatos bemelegítés és a levezetésben tényleg van valami, amikor azt mondják, hogy csináljuk meg, vagy csinálják meg, mert ugye az készíti fel a testet arra, hogy egy nagyobb terhelésnek lesz kitéve, illetve az nyugtatja le a testet, mond, hogy igen, most akkor vége, most az a recovery, a regeneráció lesz a hangsúly. Úgyhogy az mindenképpen fontos lehet. Emellett meg ugye, hogyha van egy olyan edző, vagy valaki körülöttük, akik mondjuk meg tudná nézni akár azt, amit én csinálok, milyen fajta túlfeszült izmaik vannak, vagy túlnyújtott izmaik, és akkor kikorrigálni úgymond a testtartásuk, mert általában ez onnan jön, hogyha van egy túlnyújtott vagy túlfeszült izom, mondjuk a térden, akkor lehet, hogy abból lehet egy térsérülés is később, vagy egy csípő. Szóval, hogy ez nagyon fontos, hogy ugye olyan szakemberrel tudjanak együtt dolgozni, aki ezekre is figyel. Emellett ugye hozzáadni azokat az extra feladatokat, amiknek erősítő feladatokat, és a nyújtó feladat, amellett meg sok vizet inni, vitamint, ugye a regenerációra is nagyon összpontosítani, hogy amikor pihenőnapjuk tényleg pihenjenek, vagy aktívan pihenjenek, de tényleg nem vegyék úgy, hogy jó, én nem vagyok annyira fáradt, és akkor le tudok edzeni. Úgyhogy ezt szerintem több oldalról lehet megvizsgálni, de az szerintem itt a titok, hogy minden atléta ugye különböző testük. Tehát annyira fontos lenne szerintem, hogy mindenkinek személyre szabott edzésüknek, mert nem emelhetnek ugyanannyi, vagyis ugye emelhetnek, de nem biztos, hogy minden egyes atlétának jó, hogyha ugyanaz a súllyal dolgozik, ugyanaz a cél, de viszont mondjuk, hogyha van egy kisebb, vagy alacsonyabb, vagy gyengébb, akkor biztos, hogy nem fog ugyan meg tudja emelni, de lehet, hogy sérülésveszély lesz a végén. Ez a személyre szabadság szerintem elég fontos, főleg egy csapatsportnál. Úgyhogy ennyi.
És én tudom, hogy mondtad, hogy játszottál te is jégkorongon. Tudom, hogy egy sport fizióban, a fizioterapában, tudom, hogy az állásával lehetséges, hogy nem sportolsz, de hát még sportolsz egy kicsit a játék, és hogyan befolyásolja a fizioterápiás megközelítését. How do you play? I know you said you play hockey. You used to play hockey. Do you play any sports right now, and how does that influence your approach to physiotherapy?
So, yeah, I actually, like, after I stopped playing, I think I quit it for like 1 year. I didn't really see my skates and sticks. And then I went on the ice, and actually I started to playing as just a hobby. And I also tried to play with my sister again in a team, in a Division 1 team. But since I'm working as a physiotherapist here in SDE, we have games and we are traveling as well. So I couldn't really participate in the Division 1 team. So unfortunately, hockey couldn't be the sport that I would do. I never quitted the gym. So like I usually go to the gym like 4 times a week, and I'm trying to be active, like walking with my dog, and just tried different stuff. Like I started kickboxing for a while, and I also played badminton. Maybe I'm gonna also like find some new sports for myself, but now I'm besides this job, I can only do like regular gym workout and some extra fun activity like badminton during the weekends when we don't have games. But I'm not regretting, since like I kind of like a part of the team, just in a different role. Szóval amiután abba hagytam a jégkorongot, azután 1 évig szerintem rá sem néztem a korcsolyámra és se az ütőmre. Aztán elkezdtünk újra hokizgatni a nővéremmel, így hobbiból, és kitaláltuk, hogy hát mi lenne, hogyha a Divízió 1-be elkezdenénk újra játszani, ami jó ötletnek tűnt. Sajnos nekik is hétvégénként vannak a meccseik, és így ugye a 2 dolog ütközött, mert én nem tudnék ugye mindegyiken részt venni, mert ugye a saját csapatommal itt, ahol fizioterapeuta vagy, utazok folyamatosan minden második hétvégén, úgyhogy az sajnos le kellett mondani, de mellette kipróbáltam elkezdtem boxolni, vagyis hogy még mindig néha járok le kickboxolni, tollasozni. Szerintem amúgy nem említettem angolul, de teniszezni. Szóval próbálok aktív lenni, és ugye ezek amellett vannak, hogy ugye mindig is ilyen 4-5 edzésre jár, meg nagyon aktívak a hétvégén, tyával is sétálok, illetve ugye próbálom ezeket az aktivitások, a tollasokat, meg a ilyen hasonló sportokat. De amúgy nem bánom, mert amúgy itt, ahol dolgozom, most egy másik feladatom van, de ugyanúgy a csapat része. De igen, néha azért hiányzik a jégkorong, de tudom, hogy például nem tudnám már ennyire 100%-osan csinálni, mert ugye mellette dolgoznom is.
És mi volt a legnagyobb kihívás, amivel a szpaktikus fizioterapeutának
I think it's very tricky. You never really know what's the exact injury. I mean, you can actually guess, but it's something like for me, the most challenging part is that either I can test an exact injury and like I can try to test it, but I would never, and to be honest, I will never want to say anything that, yes, that's an exact MCL ligament tear, or I don't know, you broke your arm or something, because until they don't really have the doctor checkup or MRI or X-ray, I don't really want to work of course, like I can help them because I can like immediately I can tape them or like do something to actually like take away a little bit the pain, but until they are not seeing a doctor, I wouldn't start to work with them. So I think that's how it should actually work, because honestly, like through an MRI, I am just gonna be more smarter to see, okay, which kind of injury. Of course, like, okay, that's an MCL, okay, which grade, and then I know like how long does it gonna take for her or something. But without it, I can guess, and I would never actually be, yeah, okay, maybe I made it wrong, or like I realized the injury in the wrong way. In the beginning, I was very scared to actually, how am I going to be able to actually see what's going on? And then later, I understood that, okay, I mean, every physiotherapist is different, and I will be the one who gonna work like this. How am I now? So I'm working with those who actually knows what the injury is, and then I know that I can be comfortably there for them and help them through. So yeah. Szóval ilyen hát ilyen kihívás az azt jelentette, hogy ugye soha nem fogom tudni pontosan, hogy mi a maga a sérülés. Mármint ugye le tudom tesztelni őket, meg tudom nézni, így meg tudom nyomkodni a lábukat, és amúgy, hogyha azt mondják, hogy igen, itt fáj, akkor tudok nekik ott helyben segíteni. Ugye nem raktapaszt, hanem egy ilyen tépet mondjuk köré rakni, vagy rárakni, vagy jegelni, vagy nem tudom mozgatni. De addig, amíg ők nem mennek el orvoshoz, és nem nézik meg, és egy orvos nem mondja azt, hogy igen, ez egy elég komoly, nem tudom, keresztszalagszakadás, vagy bármilyen másfajta szalagszakadás, vagy nem izomszakadás, de izom sérülés, vagy bármi. Addig nagyjából én tehát nem gondolom azt, hogy én el tudnék kezdeni velük hozni. Persze azért vannak olyan játékosok itt, akik nem tudnak egyből egy MRI-t kapni, és például van egy vállsérülése. Természetesen, tehát hogy tudok úgymond dolgozni, de akkor is a végső az lesz, hogy én valószínűleg elküldöm őket egy MRI-ra, mert általában amúgy van olyan is, hogy annyira durván nem fáj, de közben meg el van egy szalag szakadva a válluk. És ugye, mivel én nem vagyok orvos, bökhetem rá, hogy igen, ez biztos, hogy egy ilyen sérülés. Persze, amellett, hogy letesztelem, és olyan jól tudom, hogy valószínűleg ez arra utal, hogy ez egy ilyen sérülés. Amellett én nem éreztem soha se azt, hogy én lennék egy ilyen jósló, és nem is akartam lenni ilyen. Úgyhogy ez így a karrier elején volt nagyon nehéz és félelmetes, de aztán később így rájöttem, hogy minden fizioterapeuta vagy rehabilitációs tréner ettől lesznek egyéniek, hogy mindenki máshogy dolgozik, és én eldöntöttem, hogy én igenis úgy szeretnék dolgozni, hogyha pontosan tudom, hogy milyen téren kell nekik segítséget nyújtani, mert így a semmiben én soha nem szeretnék, mert aztán nem félrekezelem, de az is lehet benne, hogy mondjuk igen, félre vannak kezelve, és az sem jó egy játékosnak. Szóval 100%-osan szeretnék nekik segíteni, és ez azzal jár, hogy ha mondjuk tényleg komoly sérülés, akkor elmennek először, és egy papírra jönnek vissza, hogy nekik harmadfokú térszalagszakadásuk van, és akkor innen induljunk. Ez volt egy úgy nagyobb challenge.
És mit tanácsolnál annak, aki a sportfizioterápiába területén szeretne karriert építeni, és what advice would you give to someone considering a career in sports physiotherapy?
I would say that it's very important that after they did such schools or education, they are trying to find a place where they can actually start to work. They would probably feel in the beginning that their knowledge is not there, and probably like how they're gonna be able to, or maybe not, but I felt this, how they're gonna be able to work with, let's say, athletes, or like if there is an injury. And I just had to understand that I never gonna feel that, yeah, I know everything, because that's not possible. You can know a lot of treatments and how to treat with injuries, but the knowledge is always has to be developed. The literature, the research is, there's always going to be new things, and that's why it's very important to always educate themselves and never actually just lay back and say like, hey, yeah, now I have this and now you can do everything, because you always have to like develop yourself, educate yourself, and actually like through working you are gaining experiences. This is how it goes. Like you probably never gonna feel that, oh yeah, I know everything, because it's always gonna be a new thing that you have to figure it out. And that's why it's so beautiful, because the human body is so interesting. So it's not a boring field. So what I can suggest is that don't stop educating yourself, and don't feel that you have to know everything, because no one actually knows. And your knowledge is always going to be it's good to have a knowledge, but on the other side, it's also important that you share and you collaborate, let's say. Don't be scared to ask questions. And yeah, that's it. Amit tudnék tanácsolni, az az, hogy amiután ugye kijöttek az iskolából, kezdjenek el dolgozni, és tapasztalatot szerezni, és ne ijedjenek meg, hogyha azt érzik, hogy hogy nincs elég tudásuk, mert ez tipikusan egy olyan terület szerintem, ahol mindig új dolgok történhetnek, mindig jöhet egy olyan sérülés, vagy egy olyan dolog történhet, amire mondjuk lehet, hogy nem volt tananyag, de ő meg tudja, utána lehet kérdezni, utána lehet keresni, és nem szabad azt érezni, hogy azért, mert nem tudom elsőre, azért én nem vagyok ebben jó, mert amúgy senki nem tud mindent, és ez pont erről szól, hogy ugye új kutatások is vannak, fejlődik a világ, fejlődik mind, tehát, hogy ezért kell napra készen lenni, és fejleszteni magunkat, hogy mindig a legújabb tudást tudjuk az asztal. De például van valami, amiben mi mondjuk nem tudnánk, akkor attól sem kell megijedni, mert lehet segítséget kérni, lehet utána nézni, új dolgokat tanulni, a munka által, úgyhogy ezt tudnám tanácsolni.
Köszönöm, Hanna. Köszönöm, hogy jöttél a podcasten. Szerintem ez nagyon jó azok az embereknek, akik nézegetnek sportfizióba menni. Köszönöm, hogy jöttetek a podcastre, a Lottit és az Alexandrát és a Pétert.
Köszönjük szépen a meghívást!